Welcome back to the Legal Law channel, where we discuss educational opinions about law, and we're going to discuss the recent events that happened, the protests about housing. In my humble opinion, it's clear from recent Irish peaceful protests that there is a pressing need for a right to housing, which should be enshrined in our Irish constitution, and I'm going to explain why. Or the people of Ireland should be entitled to a referendum and have a basic right to housing realised and inserted into the Irish law, as direct rule was legally established in 1801 by foreign invaders of our land, and it formalised a colony in Ireland. And with the establishment of direct rule, the exploitation of people and land intensified rapidly as landlords squeezed tenants for escalating rent. And it must be remembered that James Connolly, an eminent Irish hero, wrote of his era: the landlord class commenced evicting their tenants, breaking up small farms, and even seizing upon village common lands and pasture grounds all over the country, with the most disastrous results to the labouring people and the cottagers generally, as reaped as sustenance for their small farms, or by hiring out their labour to the owners of large farms. A dozen shepherds now occupied their place. Now, this is quoted by James Connolly in The Labour in Irish History, Part 4, and it does show his opinion on housing and our land being taken over in times gone by. Also, we can quote a passage from the organ of the Fenian Brotherhood, and they said, to permit a small class, whether alien or native, to obtain a monopoly of the land is an intolerable injustice. Its continued enforcement is neither more nor less a robbery of the hard and laborious earnings of the poor. And this was written in the Irish People organ of the Fenian Brotherhood, July the 30th, 1864. Now, I did recently visit the cottage of Padraig Pearse in Connemara, a leader in the 1916 Easter Rising, and it became clear to me that these men were academics. These men were academics and used the power of foresight and hindsight in their writings of the times gone by and the times to come, and their lessons and struggle to help the Irish people should not be forgotten. In my opinion, it's a very important right to housing. We'll have a look at Mercy Law now, Resource Centre, and as they quote, and rightly so, they see that the right to housing is recognised in Europe in the constitutions of Belgium, Finland, Greece, the Netherlands, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, and in the legislation of Austria, France, Germany, Luxembourg, and the United Kingdom. Around the world, they say the right to housing is included in 81 constitutions. Now, why is it not included in our constitution? Why are we not given a referendum? There's some backup points for it. So they say the right to adequate housing is provided for in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, and the European Social Charter. And Pádraig Kenna, a person that did teach me housing law in NUIG, is also writes very interestingly on this topic. He has a great article online, and his housing rights must be respected and promoted by EU institutions for the benefit of EU citizens. And this can be found online. Great paper on housing and housing rights in the EU Charter of Fundamental Rights. Lots of backup evidence. And the Mercy Law also quoted that the right to housing in Irish law, what would it do? Well, it would give a right to a key to a home for all. It would require the state in its decisions and policies to reasonably protect that right. There is no legal right to housing in Irish law, they say, and in cases involving serious issues of lack of adequate housing, the only rights that can be legally relied on are around the edges of the issue. The right to housing in our Irish constitution, they say, would put in place a basic protection in recognition that a home is central to the dignity that is, and I suppose that's very interesting. And it does back up my point of why there is a need for a constitutional referendum to have housing inserted in our rights. Also, there is a lot of South African cases, and South Africa do have in their constitution the right to housing, and we won't go through them cases, but they looked at it specifically the right to housing. So there's just my brief educational opinion on the right to housing, and in line with recent events. Now, I know people have to graft and work for a house, and that's acceptable too, but it's just that some people should be treated on an equal footing, and they should be given the right house, and the Irish people should be priority housed. That's my opinion, and that's why I think if it's enshrined in the Irish Constitution that the Irish should have priority housing over anybody else. But anyway, I do hope the people of Ireland point has been heard loud and clear, and from recent events that our government realise that men such as James Connolly writing eminently, and I just quoted from one of their speeches back in 1916, that they truly envisioned that the Irish people would be subject no more to direct rule and dictated to, and that their intention in writing the Búnracht na Éireann, which is the Irish Constitution, was to include a right to housing and lack of ill treatment towards the Irish people. So do subscribe for more great videos and educational videos at that. Take care. Good luck.